Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. It's 2025 and the bad news continues to roll around for the gaming industry. And today we're going to be talking about Rocksteady. Now, if you guys are unaware as to who Rocksteady is, I don't know why you wouldn't know, but if you don't know, I'm going to tell you. Rocksteady is a developer that made some of the most beloved games in the gaming industry, and that would be the Arkham series. I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this video love the original Arkham games. Now, they decided to take all of that and throw it out the window to make a live service game based on the Suicide Squad that almost nobody wanted to play as. And they had an initial following. They had initial players that were willing to give them a chance, but unfortunately, due to the fact that they released an unfinished game with broken servers and game-breaking bugs, they lost their entire fan base. And then they decided, hey, we are also going to insult our fan base by making some of the worst stories we've ever seen.
Are we done with your bad stand-up routine?
Almost. But you always gotta end on your best joke.
Now, obviously, guys, when it came to the narrative of this story, people didn't like what they did to the Justice League. Considering that the game is called Kill the Justice League, you gotta imagine that most people went into it understanding that it probably wasn't going to end well for the Justice League. However, it was what they did to Batman that was the final straw for a lot of people who played the game to completion. They didn't like what they did with the story, and they ended up checking out. On top of the fact that the game was broken, unfinished, had a little bit of wokeness to it, and was involved with Sweet Baby Inc. All of this combined was a massive, massive hit to this particular game. Now, obviously, it's been announced finally that this game is going to be shutting down, as we all knew that was going to happen. And apparently, after the announcement of the shutdown, it's recently been revealed that Rocksteady has been hit with another round of massive layoffs. So let's get into this video, guys, from Phantom Post. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So we got a headline that reads, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Developers hit with another round of layoffs. Is going to be hit with another round of layoffs at the end of last year in 2024. Eurogamer's Tom Phillips reports that half a dozen staff impacted by the redundancies have spoken to Eurogamer to confirm the job losses under condition of anonymity to protect their careers. He went on to reveal that the layoffs hit programming and artist teams as well as more quality assurance teams. Now, we all saw this coming, okay? I don't think this is very shocking, considering that when a game announces a shutdown, especially a live service game, you gotta imagine they're gonna start cutting corners for people who are unnecessary. And unfortunately, a lot of the jobs that they just mentioned right now are unnecessary when a game is about to essentially sunset. There's no reason for an artist team to be around if you're not making anything anymore. There's no reason for a quality assurance team to be around when you're not going to add anything that needs to be quality insured. You know what I mean? Like, everything is going to stay the way that it is, and they are going to only keep a small amount of people within their team, and everybody else is going to move on. This is quite sad, considering we all saw this coming, and they didn't want to listen. Rocksteady, unfortunately, is filled with developers that thought they were too good for gamers. They thought they, quite frankly, knew everything. And when they were given criticism, when they were told things aren't exactly the way that gamers want, they decided to ignore us. And that's it. They went with the modern audience, and the modern audience didn't show up. The sad thing is that, again, this game had players, right? This game started with almost 14,000 players on Steam. That's not a small number. It's definitely something that could have grown over time if they offered a good live service game that actually gave gamers what they wanted. Unfortunately, what they did was they gave gamers everything that they didn't want. And then on top of that, you had the DC shills. They were trying to mask all the hatred that was coming this way towards this game. And they were trying to say, oh, don't listen to the grifters. The game is perfectly fine. We're all happy. We're enjoying ourselves. And then what ended up happening is now they're going to have no game to enjoy. Because, again, they were too busy shilling. They didn't want to actually have a conversation about the game and how broken it was. Because, again, one of the biggest issues with this game was how broken it was. It wasn't about the freaking wokeness. It was about the simple fact that the game was broken. And it was broken for a while. So it says this new round of layoffs followed a previous one in September. Phillips broke the news as well as reported that half of Rocksteady's quality assurance department was laid off. it was reduced from 33 to 15. He also claimed that the layoffs affected those outside of quality assurance as well and have affected individuals across the board, from junior staff to individuals who have been with the company for over 5 years. And the layoffs are not surprising, given the game's parent company, Warner Brothers Discovery, made it clear that the game was a financial disaster soon as after it was released in February of 2024. Now, I never got my apology from all the shills out there, which, let's be real, I never expected it, but I never got my apology from all the shills who were watching my videos, and they were crying literally in the comments like, leave the game alone. Leave it alone. You guys don't understand. It's an amazing game. It's amazing. You guys are just grifters. You're all wrong. Like, they were just crying hard in my comments. And we were simply just trying to have a conversation about the issues with the game and what could be rectified and how we could maybe fix it and what we could do. And the developers were just choosing to completely ignore it. And all the shills were choosing to ignore it too. And now you guys are having to deal with the fact that your game is dead. And we all said it was going to happen. And when I said the game was going to die within a year, you guys were out there saying I was wrong. I was a grifter, that it's going to be a year later and I'm going to be here saying I was wrong, blah, blah. Listen, man, I've been wrong before. I have no issues being wrong. Everybody's wrong at some point in time. But this was so easy to predict. I feel like you got to be a psycho to not to be able to predict something like this. It was unbelievably easy for anybody to see the writing on the wall with this particular video game. But the simple fact is you guys chose to ignore it because you wanted to shill. And now here you are shilling with a dead game. It's absolutely insane. So again, the layoffs are pretty big and they're going to continue to happen. I got to imagine towards the end of this year, we're going to hear about more layoffs over at Rocksteady, because I know they're working on their next game and supposedly it's another Batman game. But ultimately, if it ends up being live service garbage, I don't think people are really going to be for it. I think at this point, they need to release a good, solid single-player Arkham game. Something along those lines is going to bring their original fans back. Because even though we know that the people over at Rocksteady right now are not the ones who gave us the Arkham franchise, they should be able to at least try to garner the faith of players and say, hey, listen, we're going to give you guys what you want. You're asking for a single-player Arkham game. We're going to deliver that to you tenfold. You know what I mean? And earn the favor of gamers back. Because right now, Rocksteady went from a developer that people love to a developer people can't stand. And that's not a good transition, because once you usually get to that point, there's no going back. It's very difficult for people to forgive you and for people to gain, give their trust to you again. They're not going to be able to want to do that very easily. I've seen some developers get it back, but very few and far between. But again, this game has been a failure since the beginning. It's been very clear. The company's chief financial officer, Gunnar Wedenfeld, revealed during the company's first quarter earning results webcast that starting with studios, the $400 million year-over-year decline during Q1 was primarily due to the very tough comp we face in games against the success of Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy was a massive success for them, and they blew all that money. Can you imagine? You guys have one of the most successful, if not the most successful game in 2023, in 2024, whatever it was, and you decided to throw it all away. You were like, you know what? Who needs that money? Who needs that money? You're like, fuck it. In 2023, like, we made all the money. It's all good. Bro, you guys threw it all away, and you absolutely destroyed yourselves with multiple failures afterwards after having the biggest success in a single year in gaming. It's absolutely disgusting. And yet here we are watching Warner Brothers and Rocksteady firing people. I'll say it like this. It could very well have been avoided if they just would have did the right thing for gamers. But unfortunately, that's the last thing that's on their mind. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.